Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflects the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. 60 episodes. I've thought about what I wanted to say when we got here. And what I kept coming back to wasn't a milestone recap or a greatest hits moment. It was a question that's been sitting at the center of everything that I've built thus far on this show since the very beginning. The question is really this: what kind of leader are you really? Now, I'm not talking about the kind that you describe in a performance review, and I'm not speaking about the kind that shows up in the version of yourself you present at an all-hands meeting or on a conference panel. The kind you actually are in the room when it costs you something to be certain kind of leader, when nobody is watching, when the quarter is sideways and the team is scared and the pressure is coming from every direction at once. Now, I think that there are three kinds, actually. And after 20 plus years in this field, 59 episodes on this podcast, and a book that I've been building in the background, I've come to believe that there really are only three. And every leader you've ever worked for fits into one of them. And so do you. Now, before I name them, what I want to take you now is somewhere unexpected. I want to take you back to the origin of the word leader itself, because I think we've been working from the wrong definition for a very long time. Now, I'm not sure if you know this, but the word leader actually comes from Old English. The root of that word, leader, traces back even further to Proto-Germanic times, around 500 BCE to around 200 CE, where the word meant to go forward, to go first, to step into the space before others step. Now, to be clear, that's not a management function. That's not a performance metric. It's an orientation, it's a physical direction, it's a willingness to be in front, not because one has authority, but because someone has to move, and you're choosing to be the one who does. Now, think about what happened to that definition over the next several hundreds and hundreds of years. Think about what the Industrial Revolution did to the idea of going first. We industrialized everything, including people. We created hierarchy not to protect the people underneath it, but to protect the output above them. The leader became the supervisor. The supervisor became the metric. The metric became the only thing that mattered. And somewhere in that bizarre transformation, leadership stopped meaning what it was always supposed to mean. This show exists because I believe we can get back to that original definition. And it starts by being honest about where we actually are. So with that understanding in place, here's the taxonomy I want you to sit with each one of these ideas about these three leaders that I'm going to talk to you about as we move on here. So the first leader is the one that raises people up. I love this idea. This one is not the loudest person in the room. This one is not necessarily the most decorated, the most senior, or the most recognized. But here's the thing. This leader, what this leader does consistently without expectation of any return, is leave people better than they found them. And I love that. They ask the question that unlocks something in someone else. They give credit in the room where credit gets missed. They tell the truth about performance, not to punish, but to clear a path. And they know that their job at its core is to grow the capability of everyone around them until the team no longer needs them in the way that it did. You might remember this idea because I talked about it in episode 47 called the replaceable paradox, when I made the argument that the best leaders work toward making themselves obsolete. That's the first leader. That was the original definition. They are building something that outlasts their own participation in it. Now, that's the first leader. Let's talk about this second kind of leader. The second leader darkens the room. Now, I want to be careful here because I'm not talking about a villain. I'm not talking about something twirling a metaphorical cape in a corner office. I'm talking about someone who might genuinely believe that they are doing a good job. Someone who has confused fear for respect, compliance for commitment, and activity for progress. Now, this kind of leader creates an environment where people edit themselves before they speak. It is where ideas die in a hallway because no one believes it's safe to bring them into the meeting room. Where the numbers might look fine for a while and the teams, they keep hitting quota. And from the outside, look, everything appears to be working. Right up to the moment it catastrophically does not. Now, I made this argument in episode 57, and it's the argument I believe most deeply. Strong numbers are the most dangerous place to hide because the dysfunction underneath those numbers is accumulating interest. And when the numbers turn, everything that was hiding underneath them surfaces all at once. And the second leader doesn't usually know they are the second leader. That's what makes them so hard to address and so destructive to ignore. So that's the second type of leader. Let's talk about the third type of leader now. Now, the third type of leader says nothing. This one is perhaps the most painful to talk about because it is actually the most common. The silent leader. The one who sees what's happening and decides that the cost of speaking is higher than the cost of staying quiet. The one who has witnessed a team member get undermined, a colleague get dismissed, a process that everyone knows is broken, continuing to break because no one withstanding has been willing to say so out loud. And it is unfortunate because the third leader is not passive by nature. They are often highly capable, deeply observant, and privately disgusted with what they're watching. They simply have calculated, consciously or not, that intervention is just not worth it. That the politics are just too complicated. That they're just too close to a promotion, just too close to a vesting date, just too close to something to risk the disruption. Here's what I want to say directly about the third leader, and I want to be very, very direct about this. Silence is a leadership choice. It is not the absence of one. Every time you see something and say nothing, you have made a decision. You have cast a vote for the status quo. You have told everyone around you, including yourself, exactly where your line is. And after 59 episodes of this show, I have come to believe that the leadership crisis in most organizations is not a shortage of the first type of leader. It is a surplus of the third ones. So the question goes back to you. Which one have you been? This is not a question designed to make you feel bad. It is a question designed to make you accurate. Because most of us have been actually all three at some point. And this is not a confession of failure. This is a description of a career arc. There are moments I can name where I was the first leader. There are moments where I gave something away that cost me something and someone else got better because of it. There are moments I am not proud of where I was the third, where I watched something happen and told myself a story about why it wasn't my place to act. The question is not which one you've been. The question is which one you're choosing to be right now with full awareness of the choice that you are making. That's what the golden leadership cycle is built on. Reinvention is the moment you name honesty where you are and choose to move. Resilience is what you build in the months and years after the naming when the choice gets hard. And empowerment, well, that's what happens when you turn all of that honesty and generously toward the people around you. I've said it before, and I say it at the end of every episode, and I'll say it at the end of this one too. Leadership is not about perfection. It literally never has been. It's about, though, the willingness to see yourself clearly, to choose deliberately, and to go first in the original meaning of the word, even when going first is genuinely hard. So what can you do with all of this information I gave to you? Well, today, right now, there are 3 questions that I'm going to give to you, and I want you to take them seriously. First, think of the best leader you've ever worked for. Which of the 3 were they? What specifically did they do that put them there? Second, think of the most damaging leader you've ever worked under. Which of the 3 were they? Not in the obvious moments, but in the quiet ones, the ones that reveal character rather than performance. And third, in your current role right now, which leader are you being most often? Not which one do you want to be, but which one are you actually being right now? And I want you to write those answers down for me, because the distance between where you are and where you want to be is the exact work that this show and this community exists to help you close. Because remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. So take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. I'll see you all next time.